Good morning. Round 2. We're going to try this again. And we got a slow internet connection here today, so hopefully we'll get through this video. Hope you had a great weekend. It was a nice weekend. Hope you had a chance to get outside and enjoy some time outside. We got to go on a couple of family hikes and walks, 2.5, 3 miles on Saturday and Sunday at different locations. And I really encourage you to spend some time outside, to get some sunshine on your skin, to get out and enjoy the outdoors, preferably barefooted if it's where you can, safely. Get yourself grounded back to the earth and allow that natural process to do some recharging for you. But what I want to talk to you for a few minutes today on is to stop battling yourself. And you do that by changing your language. Because the words that we say are important. You've seen posts that I've made about how important the words are that we use to communicate with ourselves and to communicate with others. Because the key to communication is the response you're getting. And if you're not getting the response you're looking for, then you've got to readjust the way you're communicating. Because that's what communication is, right? So we've got to learn to change our language patterns up in order to get the healing we're looking for, in order to get the results that we want when we're communicating with others. I mean, if you really stop and start paying attention, listening closely, you'll hear poor communication everywhere. You'll hear people say all the time, well, I'm battling depression today, or I'm fighting anxiety, or I'm struggling with trauma. And that's just become normal. It's become automatic. It's become so commonplace that most people never question it. We're taught that our healing it has to be a struggle, it has to be a battle, it has to be a fight. But we're taught that to the point we never question it. Hey, Christy, good morning. That if we're struggling with mental health issues, that we must be in a constant war. But what if that language is actually part of the problem? What if the way we're communicating those thoughts and feelings add to the problem rather than helping us heal? What if seeing your healing as a battle is actually keeping you stuck in that cycle of resistance and that feeling of exhaustion and that self-sabotage that seems to be so commonplace? That 2 steps forward, 3 steps back feeling, right? What if there's a better way? What if there's a way that starts not with more force, but with better communication? Inside your own mind and with other people around you. Because the words you use are powerful. And the words you use are personal. So before we even start digging into the psychology of what this is, why it works, what we need to change, we need to at least acknowledge this simple truth. The words that you use, either vocally or in your mind, create the world you live in. Language itself is not neutral. Language shapes your emotions. It shapes your expectations. It even shapes your nervous system's response to what's going on. So when you tell yourself that you're in a battle, that you're fighting depression, you're struggling with trauma, your brain believes that you're under attack. And that amygdala hijack goes into warp speed. And when you say that you're struggling, your body braces you for a fight. When you frame your experience as war, your mind sets itself up for exhaustion, for hypervigilance, and for survival mode. You're in that constant fight or flight scenario. And healing does not happen when you're always in survival mode. Healing happens in safety. Healing happens in environments where you can trust what's going on. Healing happens in the midst of peace. So if you're constantly using this battle language to talk about your mental health, you're creating the very environment that healing struggles to take root in. So why do we default to this battle language? Well, there are a few reasons why this battling mental illness feels so natural to people. One, society loves a warrior story. We tend to glorify struggle. We worship resilience. We cheer for the fighters and the underdogs that come from nothing and scratch and claw and fight their way up to winning. And yes, resilience is a beautiful thing and strength is necessary. But when that survival becomes the only narrative, we lose that nuance of healing. We forget that tenderness, surrender, and patience are also powerful things too. Then another reason is because control feels safer than vulnerability. When you frame your healing as a fight, you feel like you're doing something. You feel like you're in control. You're on the offense. You're not helpless. But healing is not about overpowering yourself. It's not about willpower. It's about understanding yourself, and understanding requires you to be vulnerable. A quality that we're oftentimes taught to fear. Another reason we tend to use this battling language is we fear blame. You know, if I'm battling depression, then it's an enemy outside of me. If I'm struggling with anxiety, then that's something I need to defeat. And that's important because for many the alternative feels like self-blame. If I'm not battling it, then am I responsible for it? But here's the truth. You are not to blame for your wounds. And you are responsible for your healing. Both can be true at the same time. You're not to blame for your wounds, but you are responsible for your healing. So, using this type of language, what's really the biggest problem of it? There are some hidden damages that we incur from using this type of language. Words like battle and struggle and fight, they may seem harmless on the surface, but they carry some serious emotional weight. They create resistance. You brace against yourself. You harden instead of soften. Healing becomes an adversary, not a process. These words actually end up creating shame. If you're battling and you're still not winning, what does that make you? Weak? Broken? That's the unconscious narrative that takes root and grows. These words create exhaustion. This constant battle is not sustainable. Eventually, your mind and your body get tired of fighting. And that's where burnout comes in. It's not just a workplace problem, it's a healing problem too. And you get burnt out on the healing process when you continually see it as a battle and a fight and a struggle. So what would happen if you were to begin changing these words? Just for a minute, imagine that you stopped battling your depression and you started listening to it. You started paying attention to it. Imagine you stopped struggling against your feelings of anxiety and you started working with it. Imagine if you stopped fighting trauma and you started holding space for those parts of you that are still hurting. What would change? Everything. You would move from resistance to relationship with yourself. And you would change from shame to curiosity. You would replace burnout with compassionate endurance. Your nervous system would begin to feel safer. Your mind would become more open. Your healing would actually speed up. Not because you fought harder, but because you stopped treating yourself like an enemy. This new language that we need to adapt is for a new way of healing. So if battle isn't the language of healing, what is? Well, there's several alternatives you could choose. At least consider, instead of battling anxiety, maybe rephrase it. I'm learning how to support myself when this anxiety, this feeling of anxiety shows up. Or instead of struggling with depression, how about I'm practicing gentleness with the parts of me that feel heavy today? Instead of I'm constantly fighting my trauma, how about I'm honoring my mind's past defenses and I'm teaching it new ways to feel safe? Instead of wrestling with your thoughts, how about I'm observing my thoughts with curiosity and patience? And just hearing those phrases, do you notice the difference? Can you feel the difference already? One approach tightens and braces and firms up, and the other approach softens, lets the defenses down so that your body can heal. One sees healing as war, the other sees healing as wisdom. The way we communicate with ourselves matters. How we talk to ourselves matters more than most people realize. If you constantly frame yourself as broken or damaged or at war, then you reinforce that subconscious identity of dysfunction. But if you begin to frame yourself as complex, resilient, healing, then you give your unconscious mind a new blueprint that it can work from. It's updating the operating system. It's giving you new tools for the toolbox. Every word that you speak internally becomes a suggestion rather than a struggle to your unconscious mind. Those words of battle create more tension. Those words of compassion create more safety. And your unconscious mind only allows that deep healing when it feels safe. Not in a state of self-attack where you're on high alert all the time. So when you stop battling, what happens? When you begin to change your language and your inner posture, powerful things will happen. You'll feel less exhausted. Are you tired of feeling tired? As Dave Ramsey says, sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? When you change your language, you stop feeling exhausted. You're not wasting your energy fighting your own mind. And you actually start healing layers that you couldn't get to before. You've been just working on symptoms, treating surface level things, and not getting to the root of the cause. And so when you stop battling, you start healing on deeper levels. You become more patient with yourself and with others. Healing does not feel like a failure anymore. It feels like tending to a garden. You open up more possibilities because you're not locked into that mental trench, that rut. And you can see new paths out of it. You begin to build self-trust. Instead of reinforcing that belief that you're the enemy, you actually start to embody the truth that you are your own best friend, your own best ally. Now, does this mean healing is going to be easy? No, it's not. Changing your language is not going to erase the hard days. There are still going to be days that come along that are going to be a challenge for you. I mean, that's just the way life is. Life is a challenge. It won't mean that you'll never feel overwhelmed. It won't mean that you won't get triggered. It doesn't mean that you won't feel discouraged. But it will change how you move through those days. Instead of collapsing into self-blame and guilt, you'll know how to breathe. You'll know how to regroup. You'll know how to extend kindness to yourself. Instead of fueling shame, you begin to fuel curiosity and courage. Instead of seeing every setback as a battle lost, you see it as part of something bigger, a longer, deeper journey of integrating this past into who you're becoming. So how do you do that? How do we change our language? How do we make this shift? Well, if you're ready to start healing and stop battling, if you're ready to start relating differently to yourself, then there are some things you can do. One, just pay attention to your words. Just notice those words without judgment. Start paying attention to the language that you use when you talk about your mental health. No shaming yourself, just paying attention, just observing. Are you using words like fight or battle or struggle or war? And what emotions come up when you say those words? Then begin to choose softer alternatives. When you catch yourself using battle language, and I still catch myself using it all the time, this is an ongoing process, and I use everything I teach my clients how to use. And I have to use it on a daily basis. But when you catch yourself using this battle language, stop and consciously reframe it. Instead of, I'm fighting so hard today, change it to, today I'm asking me to be extra gentle with myself. And I know that feels strange at first, it feels awkward, and that's okay, that's part of it. Language rewiring takes practice. When people ask, how are you doing? One of my common responses is, I'm just hanging in there. And that's letting my unconscious mind know things that I really want to change. I don't want to just be hanging in there. So I have to pay attention to the words I use. And if you want to go a little deeper, is you begin to, and I tell you all the time, a notebook, pen, paper, write it down. Take time to write letters to that part of you that's in pain. Instead of trying to shut those parts down or defeat them or battle them, write a letter to them. You know, just a quick example would be like, Dear anxiety, I see you. I understand that you're trying to protect me. Let's find a way for us to feel safe together. And again, I know it'll feel awkward at first, but doing this actually builds that internal relationship that's based on cooperation instead of conflict. And then visualize it as working together with a team, not as fighting against it in combat. See your mind and body as teammates, not opponents. See yourself working together with your younger self that was traumatized, with your scared self, with your overwhelmed self. Instead of trying to fight them or bulldoze through them, see yourself working together. And then speak affirmations of this partnership. Phrases like, I'm actually learning to trust myself more today. My emotions are messengers, not enemies. Healing is not a battle, it's a reunion. Speak these out loud. Your unconscious mind is always listening. So use these words, because you were never broken. Your life is not a battlefield. You are not brokenness wrapped in a skin suit. You're not at war. A war that needs to be won. It's just not, that's not what's happening. You are a whole, complex, beautifully designed human being who was fearfully and wonderfully made. You've experienced some wounds. And now it's time to get to experience that healing. Because this healing is not about defeating yourself. It's about remembering who you were before the wounds happened. And becoming even wiser and stronger because the wounds happened. You're not at war with yourself. You're actually coming home to yourself. One word at a time. One breath at a time. One act of gentle courage at a time. Today's the day the battles end and the healing begins. All right. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you found it helpful. If you have, please leave me a like, leave me a comment, let me know how this video's helped. Some things you may have learned from this video today that you've never thought about before. I would love to get some feedback from you on these type of videos. If there's any subject or topic you want me to cover in depth, let me know that too. I'll be happy to create something for you. All right. Well, I hope you have a great day. Make this Monday the best Monday ever. Let's change our words and change our life. See you later. Bye.